let's go through some questions here while we're on this topic. Going from major or mismanagement from the custodial firm. Yeah, so we do self-directed IRAs, and I've always said this, and I think you guys believe this too, is that even if when you leave a job or you leave a TSP, you want to get it into a self-directed IRA because you have more control and you can control the fees. Because the problem with 401ks, a lot of times people don't realize how much they're spending, and the fees can anywhere be from 1% to 3% a year, and that's regardless of the growth. We're substantially lower than that when you factor in the storage costs and everything. I mean, it's a fraction of that. So I think a gold IRA does give you a little bit more of that satisfaction of that control, and it gets you away from the mismanagement. Mismanagement with a custodial firm is really interesting because we've had so many clients that had an old 401k and then they thought that account would be up a lot, but they got kind of whittled down with fees.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's especially when you leave an employer. So what I've noticed is that if you're an active employee with a 401k, you kind of get a sweetheart deal for the most part. That the management fees are pretty reasonable on most of them. But when it comes to leaving an employer and you're no longer an active employee is when the fees go up big time.
Yeah.
And they don't tell you that. People don't realize that until you start looking at your statements and you start asking the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's another element to this too, which is mismanagement on the custodial side. Colin, you kind of talked about this earlier, which is, the recommendation from typical financial advisors is, hey, if the market corrects, just stay where you are. It's always going to come back. And I'm, hearing a lot of people right now, 65, 70 years old, they're in retirement, and the market might come back, but we could also be in a multi-year bear market. Do you really want to ride 30, 40, 50% correction down and then stay there and sit there for maybe 5 years, maybe more? I mean, people don't realize this hasn't happened to US equity markets, but Japan in 1989, their index, the Nikkei, basically was at an all-time high. It crashed by 80% and went sideways for 30 years before it reached that high. It was 2019, literally 30 years of being in the red if you bought in at the top in 1989. So that kind of high water mark, and you ride that down and you're going sideways forever. The sage old advice of it's always going to come back, I actually think is very hurtful, and probably falls into that mismanagement category as well.
Yeah, and people people need to understand, right? So if you have a financial advisor or a financial planner, you're paying that advisor 1% to 2% of your account total value every single year, whether it goes up or down. Okay. Right. When you're storing metals in a gold and silver IRA, it's not a percentage of your assets. The fees don't go up as your account goes up. It's a fixed flat rate, right? So we've negotiated with the depository and with the custodian on the rates that you're charged. So we pass those savings on to you. So for example, it's $150 fixed flat rate to store your metals in Dallas, Texas, or Newcastle, Delaware on an annual basis. And that includes segregated storage and insurance. Okay, it doesn't go. I have clients. Most of my clients' their accounts have doubled. Their fees have stayed the same, right? The fees haven't changed.
Yep.
And in fact, they've gotten cheaper since I've been here. In the 8 years that I've been here, they've gotten $25 cheaper a year.
And that's a good point, Josh. Is that it's fixed, so it doesn't matter if it's $20,000 worth of gold or $2 million worth of gold. It's $150 per year, all in, fully insured, which basically eliminates any kind of tangible fee. I mean, 2% on 2 million or 2% on 20,000 is still 2%. But proportionally, the larger your purchase, it's still the same fee. So you're actually saving a lot of money. Whereas conventional vaulted accounts are percentage based. So outside of our program, again, we've negotiated this outstanding program where it's $150 per year, regardless of the metal, regardless of the amount, which is honestly a steal. But the other thing about financial advisors and the mismanagement kind of angle is our clients, having looked at their quarterly report or their quarterly statement from Q1 compared to last year's Q4, they're going, what the heck, how am I down 20%? And, again, they're being told, just wait it out. It's going to come back. It's going to be fine. Well, they're asking about gold. They're asking about silver. And they're being told, what are you, crazy? Absolutely not. And what people don't realize is you're basically going to a Ford dealer asking him what kind of Chevy you should buy. The answer is always going to be absolutely not. Why would you do that? That's silly. But the fact that no Mainstream financial advisors are even recommending a small allocation, not 2%, not 3%, not 1%. They're not recommending any physical precious metals allocation. Should tell you how biased they are and what their incentives are, right? And
Because they can't make as much money.
they can't make any money touching
No,
physical
yeah.
gold, right?
That's the
So-
issue. They make less money. I mean,
Yeah.
and to put the math, like just simple, like if you do 100,000 in a stock account with an advisor at 2%, that's $2,000 a year, right? With us, that same 100,000 is going to be 275 all in. If it goes to 2 or 300 or 400,000, so I mean, we're annually saving $1,800 in fees, which it goes a long way. I mean, that savings really that incremental savings every year makes a big difference in the long term because it's all that, that compound growth coupled with the fact that you can actually write off our custodial fees off your taxes. We're not tax advisors, but from what I understand, you can take that 275 bill and get a tax write-off. So it's a win-win. And so that's the thing we've been really kind of talking about for a long time. Let's go to the next. I purchased gold and silver in 2021. Oh no, you want to? Yeah, let's go to that one. I purchased gold and silver back in 2021 for $400,000. I got $325 worth of gold and silver. This person did not buy from us. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah.
When we sell our gold and silver, do we get the premiums we paid back?
Yeah, that's a great question.
So, yeah, Josh, go ahead, and then I kind of have my own take on this
that's a
too.
great question. So
First, let's just say this person did not buy from
no.
us.
This
This person would have doubled their money if they bought it from us.
Yeah, I mean, especially back in 2021, and they're seeing it at 325.
And I see this all the time, and Josh, you do too, with people calling in.
Yeah.
But go ahead, and then I feel like I can probably just add to what you're about to say because it's going to really open people's eyes up
Sure.
to how it works. Yeah.
So when you're buying metals in an IRA, the premiums that you pay, we're limited to newly minted modern day bullion coins. Okay, you can't buy the old pre-1933 gold coins. You can't buy any of the numismatic coins, the real true numismatic coins. So when you're buying metals in an IRA now, you're very limited to the coins and bars that you can buy. So it's really the most common are the American Gold Eagles and the American Silver Eagles. And those coins do carry a premium over the spot price. Okay, that's very important to understand. And when you go to liquidate, you do get a lot of that premium back as long as the premiums have held. So Silver Eagle is a great example. I remember when we almost couldn't get them 2 or 3 years ago, and the premiums got up to $15, $16, almost $18 over the spot price.
Which
Our cost.
percentage-wise is like 30%.
Over. I think it was close to 50. I mean, it was gold was $20, but in order to or silver was $20, but it was, $32 to $35 to buy the actual physical coin. This is 2021, 2022. I mean, pretty much all of the coronavirus, we experienced this. And now with the price going up, we're seeing the premiums come back down to earth, which is nice, right? So,
which is great.
which is amazing, right? Because now you can enter the market, get these very highly desirable U.S. made gold and silver coins, but you're not paying the $15 premium that you would have been paying a couple years ago.
Yeah. And also, I would say that when Silver Eagles were trading at $8 to $10 over spot, we were telling people to not buy those coins.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were advising them to buy bars, which were significantly lower in terms of price. So, and that's the thing that we've always done through the whole time that I've owned Noble Gold is we've tried to tell people to buy products that carry, as long as they're the same purity, try to get them in the products that have the lowest premiums. Right now, the premiums are since I've been in the business for 16 years, the premiums are the lowest relative to the spot price. So you can get more value today in the physical metal than we've ever seen. Now the price has gone up, but relative to the same spot price. Go ahead, Micah. And also, I think we should say about this could be that they purchased semi-numismatic.
That's what it says.
Right. And I was going to say, Colin, you've had many great segments on this about premium coins and products that are often pushed by competition. And essentially, we're an education, is what I say to all my clients, is we're a service and education based dealer first. And my goal is to get you as much metal for your money as we possibly can. That's how you're going to make the most money over the long term, is by having that margin between what you're paying for real investment grade bullion and what the spot price or the raw metal price is. My goal is to have that as thin as we can.
Yeah.
Now, for example, bars are cheaper than coins. Some people want them. That's okay. There are cheaper coins versus others, but there are more cost-effective formats of 24 karat bullion in gold and 999 fine in silver. And my goal is always to encourage clients to consider getting the lowest price per ounce for the metal that they want. And then we look at the various options. But premium coins are sold from competitors as they hold their value better. They're much more rare. This weird size is extremely hard to find, and therefore it's going to sell for so much better. And really what they're doing is they're selling you this fixed mintage kind of offshoot bullion product that frankly no one's really going to buy back other than them, and at a very, very discounted wholesale price. But they're marking them up. Just I'm throwing this out there, and we talked about reviews earlier on. Like, we've got fantastic reviews. I always encourage clients to go and do due diligence and look at other review and complaints pages. Other dealers are pushing these things at 30 to 50% markup.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the single digits. Of course, we're not a charity. We have to have something come back for the service that we're providing, but we're in the single digits, whereas these guys are 30, 40, 50% above their cost marked up into that coin. So when you're buying $400,000, you're really only getting, $325,000 worth. You're paying them $75,000 in commissions, which is almost 20%. That's like a 20% commission. We're nowhere near that. I had an example of this just last week. Talked to a lady. She bought from a company 2 years ago, back in or late 2022. Pardon me, almost 3 years ago now. She bought $500,000 worth, but she's going to liquidate her account, and they're only offering her $300,000. After a 40% rise in the price of gold, they're only offering him, $300,000 worth, which means they took her for a 50 to 100% markup, and that 40% rise still has her a couple $100,000 under her initial investment. And I said, that just simply can't happen here, right? Anyone who's bought from me 2 years ago, they're up 30, 40, 50%.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, listen, these are the reasons why, when you make a big decision, that you take your time. And that's why what we do is so different in Noble Gold, is that we tell people to check out the reviews. We tell people to take their time, because we know it's a long-term relationship, and we're not afraid of somebody going to the internet and spending some time and reviewing us. I remember early on in my career, I had a large client end up going with another dealer, and I started to educate them. And the client said, I called back and my salesperson's not there. And I said, that's because he's probably buying a Porsche with the commission that he made off of your sale. And I was half joking, but I mean, it could have been true. I mean, it could have and luckily we were able to help navigate him into reversing that trade, which I know you and Micah have done. And we've saved
tens of millions.
Yeah, probably. I guarantee you we've saved people billions. If you look at, we sold $2 billion in gold and silver. If you look at the amount of times that we've helped people wind back a bad trade or get out of something, I bet the savings is probably in the billions, and we're happy to do it. And ultimately, I think for anyone that's listening, I think if they're pressuring you, it's a bad sign. When you call Noble Gold, you get a person, you're going to get Micah or you get Josh, they're going to spend time with you, but they're busy because they have recurring clients, and they're going to give you all the information. They're going to spend time with you, but they're not going to hound you, 17 times a day, because we have a reputation, and they're busy for a reason. It's just a different level of service. And I think that's really important. So anybody that's, listening, or just take a step back and check reviews and and if it sounds too good to be true, it typically it is. There's something if there's free gold. I've seen offers where they're offering $20,000 in free silver. Well, how do they do that? How do they give you $20,000? They have to make a profit.
They're generous, Colin.
Yeah, they have to make a profit. And obviously, we're not going to name any names, but you see them out there, and it's terrible. It's really it's awful. So it's important that people really just take sleep on it, take another day. Even with us, like, it's okay to we're going to be here,
Yeah.
and we're going to be here when you're ready. And ultimately we know it's a long-term decision. And so we want you to feel good about it. We want you to like the decision you're making.
And this is something I kind of wanted to speak up on here. So I've helped a lot of people who got started with another firm, and then when they go over the different coin or bar options with the other firm, rightfully so, they get real nervous and they don't like what they hear. So anybody out there, this is kind of directed towards you who's considering this or who's working with another company. Know that you can work with other dealers, right? You're not stuck buying gold, buying high price, numismatic coins from the person who got you started, right? You had the sense to want to buy gold and silver. You don't like the products that are being offered. Give us a call. Let us earn your business. Give us an opportunity to go over the different coins and bars options that you have, get pricing, go over the whole gamut. I mean, this is very important. And a lot of places too, they only do commingled storage, which I hear about all the time, which really makes me nervous. You don't want to work with a firm that has, every single one of their clients gold and silver in the same box with everybody else, right? That's trouble. When you deal with Noble Gold, we only offer segregated storage.
Yeah.
So you have your own box at the depository with your name on it. We send you actual photos of your metals from the depository.
Only company that does that, by the way. Small gesture. Josh, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I always say it's such a small gesture. Why doesn't everybody do it? If your gold's really there sitting in your name?
And the reason a lot of them don't do it is because they're shipping slow.
Yeah.
We ship fast, right? So that's so we can get that picture to you in 30 days. So we ship fast. Not showing what's in the depository is a red flag. That's why I've done it since we started the business. I always had them take the photo because I wanted the client to know that there's separate companies involved in this retirement account, that the depository has a person that's going to take a picture of the metals. They're going to sign that. So you have that peace of mind that it's there. And then I go there a few times a year and I do audits.
Mhm.
I know we're going to go to Texas later this year. So
and
Josh,
do some audits, do some
Josh
blind
is gonna
audits.
come with me. And so these are they're little things that I think end up being big things. And with, the London Bullion Exchange not having enough gold, and, there was a big depository a year or two ago, one of these Delaware depositories that didn't have enough gold.
Yep.
As much as they seem like a small thing for me and for us, having the picture, having segregated storage just gives that extra level of comfort.
Yeah.
And confidence.
And ask the company that you work with, can I go audit my account, right? I mean, I have so many clients that are local to me in Dallas, Texas, and they make appointments and they go audit their account, and it's totally free.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of depositories are not accessible. You don't get photos. You can't audit your account. It's blind faith.
Right. Yep. I always say you can go there, touch them, hold them, pull them out at any time, and we send you photographs, assuming that you're not going to be able to make a
And
trip
what
down
you
to Dallas.
find is that when I go and do my audit, is that they have to do a quarterly audit at the depository for their insurance company. And so whenever I go, it'll show the date of their last audit on their package. So basically what they'll do is, let's say this is your metals, they'll pull it out and it'll say February 1st, 2025. It'll say that, and someone will have already signed it, and that person's already done an audit. And then they'll open it up for me and they'll take the metals out, and then I'll match it with your receipt. So I do a blind audit, like 150 accounts, and I just go through one by one and just kind of count the ounces to make sure. So these are just the little things in this day and age that I think are really important. I think we're kind of coming up at the end of our time here, but any last comments or anything you guys want to end with today?
I think that's really it, Colin. Service, cost, transparency, and accessibility are like the three pillars you founded this company on. I think those are really the big outliers. And people always ask, what makes Noble Gold different? I always go there. Education-based, willing to invest the time. It's you and me together for the life of your account. We're going to have a rapport with the lowest cost dealer in the industry. And then you can't find that level of transparency with any other company. Photographs, being able to visit, being able to pull it out, being able to see it and touch it. It just goes a really long way. And it's just the way the business should be done. And I think that's why we're so successful. And coming into this massive bull market, that's why I think we're going to continue to gobble up our fair share of the market share, right? I think we've seen enough complaints with other companies. We've seen companies go bust. There were 2 last year alone. I think there are many more probably that are going to go that way, to the wayside as well, because they don't run sound business. or have sound business practices. But I feel great about working here, helping our clients, doing what we do day in, day out. And give us a call if you want to talk to me or Josh.
Yeah.
Anytime. Yep. Josh, anything to add?
Visit our website, noblegoldinvestments.com, plural, or give us a call directly at 877-646-5347. Look forward to speaking with you guys soon.
Thank you guys. Thanks everyone to watch. We'll see you on the next one.